Welcome back to Winners and Losers, ladies and gentlemen, the show where we cover all of Premier League's football, the good, the bad and the ugly. 3 different show intros there and a little throwback to VFN. We are talking about Liverpool. Of course, Henry Hill is still joining me. Very, very lucky for myself because Liverpool over the weekend lost 3-0 to Wolverhampton. Now, let's get straight into it. What happened against Wolves?
I think the most damning fact is that Wolves have scored 12 goals all season and they put 3 past Liverpool. So, I mean, it's taken their tally to 15 overall, but that's 25% of their total this year that they managed to put against one of the big boys in the Premier League. And yeah, it was just another damning look at what's happening at this Liverpool side this season. Just sort of looks devoid of confidence. They went behind early doors and just the kind of rock solidness of this Liverpool side that we've seen in previous years is wiltering away. And also up front too, they took 22 shots in the game, only 4 on target, got outdone for XG by Wolves. And yeah, it's just not clinical enough going forward. Darwin Núñez once again had a few chances, couldn't quite put them away. I don't like to rail on Darwin Núñez. I feel like he's had a bit of a, I think people are jumping on him too quickly. And he's done okay with his goals in all competitions. But yeah, it is. This Liverpool side need a serious renovation in the summer, on the pitch and off the pitch.
Interesting, because I think a lot of the times when we have spoken about Liverpool, and obviously people will have seen the title to this video, we've seen a lot of kind of reaction after that Wolves game, and we'll get on to Jurgen Klopp after. But I think when people have spoken about Liverpool this season, a lot of it has been about the midfield. The midfield needs rejuvenating, and it 100% does, and we always come back to that. But there has been a lot happening off of the pitch, kind of in the boardrooms, behind the scenes. Do you think that's had a massive play as well at Liverpool?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think there's a great article out there by Melissa Reddy, one of our sort of Sky Sports colleagues, and she looked at the fact that Michael Edwards left this year. He was one of the great brains behind the Liverpool that we've seen dominate in the past few years. FSG's president, Mike Gordon, he's now less involved in kind of the running along with Klopp. He's more interested in trying to facilitate a potential investment in the club because obviously FSG, it's well known that they are potentially looking to bring some money in to try and compete with some of the state-owned clubs, etc. And yeah, and then there's been other people that have left too. I mean, Mark Leyland, he's now the first team coach analyst at Newcastle. So Harry Kingston, he's joined the Moroccan Football Federation. Great article on the BBC about his impact there and how crucial he was to the Moroccan success at the World Cup. We've seen the team doctor leave. So when you've got such a brain drain of talent behind the scenes and a group of people that really work together cohesively to get Liverpool ahead of the rest in terms of without breaking the bank every single time. When you see this big turnover, it's going to be difficult for people like Klopp, where he's losing his confidence and sort of reliable people behind the scenes to help him. So yeah, I think that's going to be really affecting Liverpool. And you know, Klopp signed this extension until 2026, but with FSG potentially getting new investors in, Julian Ward, the successor to Michael Edwards, he's already handed his notice in. You're probably thinking, this isn't exactly what I signed on for at this moment in time. So that's where my concern is. It's just behind the scenes, Liverpool, it's all going a bit wrong. And he's coming in for criticism as well. We've seen the young 18-year-old central midfielder, he started to play at the moment because he was criticised for being too loyal to people like Henderson and Fabinho for having difficult campaigns. I mean, he's stuck between a bit of a hard place, this Klopp, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to feel sorry for him. Look, I guess that moves us on to the question of, does Klopp need to leave Liverpool for Liverpool to get better and for the side to get better? Excuse me, might get text messages halfway through. Yeah, maybe that's from Jurgen Klopp giving me the exclusive, though I doubt it. Yeah, I feel like he is in a really tough place because what has also happened whilst Liverpool have had this fall off is the other clubs have kind of supercharged on. Chelsea have spent 600 million. Arsenal are having a fantastic season at the top of the league. Okay, we just covered Man City, but they're actually not doing too bad themselves. They've got Erling Haaland up front. Whereas very much this was going to always be a season of transition. Then you add the fact that Newcastle have had this new money come in and they've been able to play great football and amazing defensive record in front of their own goal. And then you've had also the likes of Fulham and Brighton and these teams that have been able to really pounce upon and become a lot better. Has made, I think, Liverpool's season look 10 times worse and had a bit of a struggle. Like Liverpool are kind of behind Chelsea at this point, but they have got a game in hand. That being said, I think they've obviously got the derby come the weekend, but that's not going to be easy now with Sean Dyche there and how he's got Everton playing after that Arsenal result.
What I will say though, he is the coach. The emphasis is on him to get goals and assists out of Salah, who they've just made the club's record highest paid player. Trent's got 1 goal and 1 assist this season, a shadow of his former self. That's where their main creativity normally comes from, doesn't it? Especially at a period where the midfield are not breaking the lines and getting the balls into the forward line as much as they used to. They've been really unfortunate with injuries, certainly, haven't they? Going forward, Diogo Jota's been out.
Firmino's out for a little period. Their experience forward.
Exactly. So the emphasis is on him, and if you look at statistically, they're conceding more shots in the box. They're putting away less big chances. There is a massive drop off in the side, and the emphasis is on him and his coaching staff to figure that out. But this team has been slightly hamstrung by the fact that they haven't really brought in enough first-team players who are ready to go in there and mix up, certainly in the midfield anyway, like Harvey Elliott, etc., Fabio Carvalho. These aren't expected to be starters week in, week out, and maybe that's where they've kind of dropped off a little bit.
And I have a slight worry for Liverpool in the summer when, say, look, we speak about Jude Bellingham all the time, moving to or Liverpool being the perfect place for him, but if they can't afford him, and he moves somewhere, and Caicedo goes to Arsenal, and these bright options who are not just great for the future but amazing for now, all move on. I don't quite know what Liverpool are going to do next, especially another year where Fabinho's maybe a little bit older. Maybe Fabinho moves on. Henderson, by another season, will definitely not be in the right position to keep playing, so on and so forth. So it's going to be interesting. But does Klopp need to leave?
No, I don't think he needs to leave.
What point then is it? What point does it have to get for Liverpool to make the decision of, okay, we need to change the management?
He's got enough credit in the bank. I actually think anyone investing in the club is investing in Klopp as well, for what he's done and the identity that he's built there. I think he deserves the chance to stay. It's just they have to get their summer recruitment right, because I don't think that just signing Bellingham is going to fix this problem. And we saw they were hamstrung in the winter window. They could only buy Cody Gakpo. I think Klopp was very vocal on the fact that that was all they could afford this winter. Is splashing loads of money on Bellingham going to solve it when they're not going to get any money from the likes of Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, etc., who are going to be moving out through the door?
But do you not think it's weird that they went and spent this money on a position that, let's be brutally honest, wasn't needed? Wasn't needed in January to get Cody Gakpo in right now. They had Firmino coming back from injury. They've got Diogo Jota coming back from injury. You've got Harvey Elliott that can play forward. You've got Carvalho that can play forward. You've got Núñez, who already is a guy that's kind of struggling and struggling to get to know that front line. You've now had a Gakpo in there who himself is struggling to kind of understand that front line. And when we always were saying the midfield is what needs it, the midfield is what needs it. And then you see on the last day of the deadline, United go and get Sabitzer in midfield.
Yeah.
He would have been brilliant to play for Liverpool in that midfield. 100% I fully believe that. And so that's where I do kind of look at that recruitment and think, was that the right decision? And it's hard. And look, it's also harsh. Liverpool have a great track record with their signings and them coming good. But there are starting to be a couple of warning signs.
That arcs back to the idea that with Michael Edwards going, with Gordon going, like the guys that really throw through this plan, suddenly there's a bit of foggy thinking going on and maybe different voices getting control over decisions in the club where previously it was a bit more aligned. So that's the only aspect for Klopp, I think. Is it worth, he's done maybe all he can with this Liverpool side. It's only going to get tougher and tougher. And I do think if a team like Real Madrid, if Ancelotti looks to move on, I do think they would always be keen in a manager like Klopp. So if he wanted to roll the dice and get a job, he could get anything. If Bayern wanted to get rid of Nagelsmann, they were getting fed up with him, he could get that job in a heartbeat. He could take the German job probably if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Like there are so many options to Klopp, and Liverpool have to sort themselves out or risk losing him, in my opinion.
That is I think that's a really interesting way to put it, because a lot of the time I think at the moment it's been spoken about online is him getting sacked rather than actually him wanting to move on to another club, and possibly with the new owners or the minority stake or whatever that comes on, that might push him as well to maybe take that next step. That is a really interesting point.
A lot of people say, he extended his deal. His wife was very happy. They're very settled, obviously very settled in Liverpool. But I don't think football, it's not always that sentimental, is it? I mean, we saw what happened to Tuchel at Chelsea, so the brutal sacking there. He loved being in London, etc. So ultimately, I think in football you have to be ready and make a quick decision on a whim and accept new challenges. I don't think Klopp is naive to that fact either. He's done it before.
Yeah.
He could go again.
I do feel like he has a very special relationship with Liverpool, and I think it is kind of funny that the second there's been, after the huge amount of success they've had over the recent years of making the Champions League final just last season, that the second it's gone a little bit tits up, it's okay, maybe it's time to look for something else. Like, give the guys you mentioned credit in the bank. Like, he's got at least this season to see out, no matter what happens. You never know. Like, I don't think they're going to finish outside of European places, but sometimes finishing outside of European places and then just next season focusing on domestic football really isn't a bad thing, especially in a transition period. But we'll see. But guys, let us know what you think about the Liverpool situation, about the game against Wolves. Where did it go wrong? Was Matip at fault? Were other players at fault? I've seen calls for Nat Phillips to come back on the side.
I will say Julian Lopetegui deserves a huge amount of credit for getting this Wolves side up and running. They did some great business in the January window, and it's paying off. I think Craig Dawson is such a sensible signing at centre-half after letting go of Connor Cody. They've got that experienced head right at the back, popped up a goal, as we've classically seen him do for West Ham over the years. I think Wolves are in a pretty good place moving forward, so that is something to factor into.
100%, 100%. Credit to Wolves. But guys, get in the comments below what should be happening at Liverpool. If you've enjoyed this video, then smash that like button. As always, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Football Daily.